In today's video, we're going to talk about the importance of sticking to our trading strategy no matter the outcome of the trade. The ultimate goal as a trader is to be able to quantify our performance. And the only way that we can quantify our performance as a trader is if we stick to a singular strategy. We have to be able to have that constant in our strategy to be able to quantify how our trading is. Now, of course, you can spend some time trying different strategies as you start to trade and as you begin as a trader. But once you find that strategy you really want to focus on, we have to spend some time using it. We can't flip and flop between different things on the market. We have to use that certain strategy no matter the outcome and quantify the performance. Over the last few days, I've had a little bit of a rough period with my trading strategy. I've had a few losses that I've taken. Yesterday was on AMD, which we will talk about in today's video. But the most important thing here was that I didn't just start thinking about doing other things. I didn't change what I was looking for. I knew that if I take one winner using my retest strategy, it will heavily outweigh my losses. And it just so happens that today I took a 100% trade on Apple, which outweighed all of the losses that I took on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I want to go ahead and make this video to really give you that idea of how important it is to stick to our strategy, to focus on high risk to reward. And even when we take a loss, which we'll talk about my loss on AMD, you cannot change your mind. You can't change your mindset. You can't get discouraged. You have to stick to that trading strategy. So we're going to look at my AMD loss, my Apple win from today. We're going to talk a little bit about the strategy and the overall mindset behind it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So guys, we're going to start this video off by looking at the losing trade that I took on Tuesday of this week on AMD. Now we're going to look at this trade and we're going to also compare it to the Apple trade, which was a winner. And what you'll notice about these two trades is the difference in the size of the loss versus the win. With the retest strategy, our risk to reward is so great that when we take those losses, we have to have that confidence knowing that one win that we take will offset multiple losses. We know that when we enter the retest trade close to our stop loss, looking for that reaction off the retest level, we know that we have a tight stop, a good risk to reward, and we have to remember no matter what happens, even if we lose, if we take a loss, we have to stick to that strategy knowing that a win will outweigh our losses. This is very important to keep in mind when you trade. This will help you not fear taking losses. I think one of the biggest things about the strategy, about the retest strategy, is that you cannot fear losses. Losses are inevitable. They are inevitable in trading 100%. You are never going to be able to avoid losses at all times. We have to be happy with our losses, and the losses will come. But if we stick to a strategy with high risk to reward, one win should outweigh multiple losses, and that is the key. So here on AMD, I had the idea of playing a break and retest of a 95 key level on AMD. I was looking for upside. You guys can see that in the past, this is the hourly chart, we had support come in at 95. We had support again come in at 95. Now on Tuesday of this week, we were trading above 95. And what I was looking for was a pullback to 95, look for some short-term demand to step up, and then play that back to the upside. Now you can see here on the hourly chart, that is definitely not what happened. But we have to go into the 2-minute chart and I'll share you where I took my entry. So here is the 2-minute chart on Tuesday of this week on AMD. Now we can see that over the first 4 minutes of the market, we got a very aggressive pullback to that 95 level. Now I started to see some buyers stepping up at 95. I saw some, push to the upside. I saw that green candle come in and I knew that I'm starting to see that retest potentially form at 95. If I get in close to this 95 level, then my risk to reward is great, right? I can't wait for AMD to be back up here at 96. I can't wait for it to be back up here at 97 to take my entry. If I'm entering back up here, then I'm risking all the way back to 95. The risk reward no longer makes sense. But if I get in close to this 95, my risk is a break back below it. So if we turn this red here, this little area red, we can quantify or signify our risk with this red box. So if I'm getting in here at 95, I know that, hey, if we break 95, maybe I'm risking 20 cents. I'll see if it drops below it. If it stays below it, I need to get out of my position. But I know that if I'm entering close to that 95 level, if my trade plan and my strategy aligns that I want to see 95 hold, If it breaks under it, then I have to get out, right? I have to stick to my stop. I have to stick to the strategy. I have to take that loss. But at least I know that if we break under 95, that stop loss is very close. The trade plan no longer works, and I have to get out of the position. If this retest was to work, in my mind at this time, I was saying if we can get a nice retest hold in 95, I would be targeting back to that opening print, which already is a great risk to reward, and maybe even more, right, if that continuation comes in. So I'm taking a good risk to reward trade. I just unfortunately in this scenario got caught in a break and retest that did not work. So I'll pull up TradeZella and we can recap this trade. I had about 20 contracts, about a $3,000 position size. I took a 10% loss on this trade, about $306. And you guys can see that I got in right here on that candle, right? As that candle started to push higher, this is actually the 1 minute chart. So you can see I got in on this 1 minute candle. You can see that we were pushing to the upside. I was actually profitable on the trade until we got a very aggressive reversal, right? You can see quickly profitable on the trade, retest level held right here at 95, but a very quick reversal, a flush candle back under 95, and I had to take my loss, right? Unfortunate, but a good loss, right? A loss that I can come back from, a loss that the strategy aligned. I liked everything on the setup. Unfortunately, this flush candle sometimes takes us out of positions. I'm sure this has happened to you guys as well, but we have to stick to that stop, right? If we zoom out, we can see what AMD did for the rest of the day. You can see even following today or the next day, if you would have just hoped and prayed that AMD came back, you didn't stick to that strategy, you're probably not looking at a very good scenario, right? So sticking to that stop, believing in the strategy, got stopped out of that trade. That was a good example of where the break and retest just simply did not work, and I had to get stopped out. So this is where the fun begins, and this is where we get to prove that if we keep our losses small, if we stick to that same strategy, you can always come back and you can get a really nice win that outweighs those losses. This is Apple today, and if you guys were in the pre-market live stream this morning, you know we were all over this thing. We were talking about the larger term retest hold that was happening here at 160, and that we wanted to see a break and hold above the previous day high for a short-term entry. Now you can see here on the hourly chart, which is where this analysis took place, you have a previous triple top high here at 160 on Apple. And over the last 4 trading days, we have continued to hold that level. So I knew coming into today, I was very confident in this trade because I knew that we had that 160 demand below. I knew that we were on a larger term break and retest, an hourly chart break, an hourly chart retest, and we were turning this previous supply into a very strong demand over the last 4 trading days. Now, if you guys have watched my videos lately, I've been talking a lot about the break and retest of previous day highs or the break and retest of previous day lows and how I love to take these trades. These are some of the cleaner and the more aggressive trades that I like to take, and this is exactly what happened on Apple today. We had a previous day high at $162, right in this 162 zone. We had some previous day high rejections, and I was targeting this level, right? I knew that if Apple got back above 162, if it held that 162, I could look to go long on a break and retest above previous day highs, have my stop loss under 162, and look for that continuation. So if we go into the shorter term time frames and we go into this 162 level, this was not the cleanest break and retest. It was an aggressive one, but if you were watching this candle at the time, it's a little bit hard to sort of replay this here on TOS, but if you were watching this candle right here at the time, this 935 candle, this candle was red. This was a red candle that pulled back to 162, and it bounced very aggressively off 162. So we turned red on this 1 minute candle. We bounced aggressively off that level. And after seeing that, I was in this trade right here. I said, I'm in this trade. I just saw 162 react. I saw us bounce off that level. I knew that we had a strong NASDAQ market early morning, and I knew that I can try to play this break and retest with a stop under 162. If I'm entering right here, I'm literally risking 20 cents. If I'm entering around this 162.20 level, I'm risking 20 cents for a continuation move. Again, risk reward being great, trusting my break and retest strategy, and that is why I entered there on that 162 previous high of day, break and retest move. So I figured why not use the TradeZilla replay feature to share with you guys exactly how this candle looked on my second entry on Apple. I did take a little bit of an early entry on this, anticipating that 162 break, but I added once again on the 162 retest. So I'm going to play this live. This is an exact recording of Apple today. You will see that I took an early entry here on this push towards 162, a little bit of a smaller entry, getting some meat in the game, getting some skin in the game, and then we can see we got a break of 162 here, right here, break of 162, and watch the next 1 minute candle. The next 1 minute candle is going to pull back right now into 162 and aggressively push off. And as soon as I saw that push right off 162, that is where I went ahead and I entered this position. So here are my stats on the TradeZilla platform. You can see that we have a $2,286 winner. I took 40 contracts at about a $9,000 position size, 24% gain, but I was scaling out, obviously, as always. The last runner here was at 495. This was a 100% exit, right? This last exit here was up to 495, entering at 223. This last exit, these moved up to 100% on Apple today. An awesome move, an awesome runner here, and I am still holding one into tomorrow. I took majority off here early, as I always do, locking in those profits, $2,200, more than enough that I need to make on a single day, knowing that this pays for the losses that I took on AMD the previous day, knowing that that break and retest worked again. So this video is not to talk about Apple as a winner. It's not to share the loser. The real reason of this video is about the belief in a strategy. It's about sticking to that strategy, and no matter what the outcome of a trade is, we have to have that constant in our trading. You saw me take the same exact type setup, the same mentality on AMD, and it didn't work, right? I took my loss. I came back with the same mentality once again on Apple, looking for the break and retest of a previous day high, and it worked beautifully. And that win, you can see, greatly outweighs the loss that I took on AMD. Now, the position sizes were a little bit flawed, right? Apple was a larger trade than AMD, but we can see on Apple I made about 25%, whereas on AMD I took about a 10% loss. So even when we weigh it out percentages-wise, it is still a great risk to reward. 25% to 10% loss, that's about a 2.5 risk reward, which is still great in terms of percentage points. So I hope that this video gives you some hope, gives you some insight into a strategy, lets you know a little bit more about the break and retest, give you guys that motivation of sticking to your strategy no matter what it is, if it has good risk reward, if you've been in a little bit of a tough period, but you know your strategy still works, don't deviate from it. Continue to trade it, continue to practice it, continue to look for it on an intraday basis. You know that if you have good risk reward, that win will outweigh those losses, and you can look forward to looking for more setups, right? And looking for more opportunities using that strategy. So I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, make sure to press that like button before you head out, subscribe to the channel for more videos, and make sure to come hang out in the pre-market live streams where this entire Apple trade was clearly outlined. You can go back and watch it on the channel. Come hang out every single morning starting at 8 a.m. Thank you guys once again, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.